I was shocked when I got in the working world and realized that nobody in the leadership areas, well, not nobody, a lot of people didn't understand about bringing people in early on projects, involving them in order to make things successful and getting them in the decision-making process early. And so I did definitely brought that to the table in each job I came to.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Leaders in Tech. Today we have with us Daniel Waltz. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
Dan, for the audience, can you give me your full name? Where do you live and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, Daniel Waltz. I live in Sanford, Michigan. And what I am right now is retired within the last week. I was a CIO.
Just a week ago.
Week ago, yeah. I was a CIO at My Michigan Health for 11 years. I worked at University of Michigan before that at 14 years, and Chelsea Hospital before that, and St. Joe's Hospital before that.
This podcast is brought to you by ISU Corp. Are you having trouble with your software projects? Is there a project that's taking too long or a technology you can't handle? We can help. We are ISU Corp, experts in custom software since 2005. With almost 20 years of experience, we can solve any technical problem from new businesses to satellite software. We've done it all. Let us turn your ideas into reality. Learn more about how we can help by visiting us at www.isucorp.ca. Your solution starts here.
Wow, so career in technology, but all towards healthcare.
Yes, I started out in a manufacturing job for a couple of years as a programmer and went to my alma mater, Eastern Michigan, for a couple of years as a programmer before I went to St. Joe's in Ann Arbor.
That's great. So tell me, let's look back in time since we started there.
Yeah.
What was in your mind when you were about to start university? What did you want to do with your life?
Yeah, so I was the director at Chelsea Community Hospital of about 25, 26 people. And I wanted to make a bigger difference. I wanted to work in a large system and really with a very large user base and really learn the ropes in a different culture. And I actually left that job as a CIO at Chelsea and went in as a director reporting to a CIO. So I've taken, like in my career, taken several chances to kind of move up with an end state in mind to be a CIO at a larger organization. So that was a really important move for me.
So you started as a computer programmer?
Yes.
Did you go to school for it?
I took a minor in computers, but my degree was in organizational development, which is kind of an HR background, which has really served me well. In fact, you know, I was shocked when I got in the working world and realized that nobody in the leadership areas, well, not nobody, a lot of people didn't understand about bringing people in early on projects, involving them in order to make things successful and getting them in the decision-making process early. And so I did definitely brought that to the table in each job I came to.
You know, Dan, you're completely right. I think IT careers at university, they should have mandatory courses on human relationships, how do you treat humans? How do you make people perform in a positive way, right? Like how does the human brain behaves? I had to go through a path in my career where I had to actually go learn that afterwards because I was, I have a computer science degree and I was never taught how to deal with people. So I was the introvert programmer behind the closet.
Absolutely.
Right. And when I wanted to become a leader, I was like, okay, how do I motivate people?
Good for you.
Inspire them.
Yeah, what a great transition. And I've always studied emotional intelligence since college as well. And I've come to learn, and somebody said it, maybe it was Daniel Goleman, that said EQ is more important than IQ. So your emotional quotient and how you understand individuals in a one-on-one situation, and people in a group situation, and how you can understand that and be effective in those situations. It can be learned. And every group that I've managed, I've put them through emotional intelligence 2.0 training and had them work on their own emotional intelligence. My most challenging group was in the last 2 years, I was given biomed. I don't know anything about biomed, except that I want to make sure that they're cyber secure, right? But it was a group of engineers and they were struggling. And so I put them through the class and I saw some improvement in the group, and cohesiveness and ability to help each other and those kind of things.
I think it's imperative you want to be a good leader in general, but specifically a leader in technology, because we tend to have people in our IT departments that tend to be introverted, right? Like I think for every 10 introverts, you won't have one extrovert, right?
Yes, yes. And you got to get everyone participating. So I've been known to call on people that aren't talking and say, hey, John, what do you think? Can you give us your opinion? And if they come to me afterwards and say, please don't do that, then I'll say, well, then you need to meet with me and tell me what your opinion is. And don't be afraid if I share it in the group, because I need everyone here at the table. We need to be a team. And that brings me to my second career. During Chelsea, I was the assistant varsity coach on a basketball team, a high school basketball team. And the head coach was a master at strategy. He was amazing. We beat some really good teams that had Division I players on it. And the way we did that is developing a strategy for each game individually, every game, and work on it the week before and then execute it in the game. And it's really exactly what you have to do in business. And, you know, you have to develop strategies for how you're going to get certain things done. You just can't come in like a bull in a china shop and say, we're going to do this. You need to know how, what people you need to engage, what you're going to do, whether or not you have money or not, whether it's even doable. So there were so many parallels. In fact, you saw my email account, my private one is Coach Waltz, right? So I use that, and I've gotten a lot of people tell me that they totally appreciated the coaching that I've given them, not only individually, but in groups. So, you know, it's just been so rewarding to work in this industry.
That's amazing. How long did you stay as a developer, just you in front of the computer?
I would say about 7 years, and I transitioned at St. Joe's. I had 5 different jobs at St. Joe's in 6 years. I had a great mentor there. He actually took me away from the programming department or the IT department and put me in this little group called Finance System Support. So imagine this, I walk in the office, there's 2 offices and 3 people, and he's in one office and I'm in the other. I'm like, well, where am I going to sit? And he says, don't worry about that. Come in tomorrow, we'll have a place for you. I come in the next day, he's sitting in the hallway and said, you can have my office. I'm like, what? Can you imagine a leader, you know, giving up his own space? And I really learned right then that it's about being a servant leader. And he was. And he really trained me with that. It was amazing. A great journey. And we ended up taking over the patient accounting department, which at St. Joe's was the flagship, which is now Trinity Health. And they had, I remember the days in AR were 183 and they had 3 days cash on hand. And we totally redid that department. I was like number 2, and I didn't know anything about patient accounting until I left, you know, the next couple of years. And I did a lot of programming there to kind of fix things. And then we ended up bringing in a new system. So,
but you know, what a blessing that you were taught how to be a servant leader by example.
Yes, that's the only way, really. I mean, you can learn, but until someone demonstrates it above you, it's like, wow, you know. It does really hit you in the face about how you do it, not just what it is, but how do you do that? How do you put other people's needs in front of yours? It's hard.
It's hard, but it's interesting. You know, so I'm a man of faith. I am a devout Christian, but I never read my Bible. And 3 years ago, I started reading the Bible, like very seriously.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you know, and I knew about being a good servant leader before, but I didn't know where it was coming from. And when it's reading the Gospels, it comes from the way that how Jesus was a leader. He was
Yes.
a servant leader. He watched his disciples' feet. He will get over and above his way to make sure that his team was provided for. Therefore, his team will succeed.
Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it? And when you
Yeah.
do it out of your like good heart, when you do it without any hidden agendas, when you do it really to help the team out, to be genuine,
Yeah.
it's when it starts working.
Get
Because
this.
people really, right?
My dad was a minister.
Really?
Oh, and I'm the youngest of four. And I don't think anyone would be upset if I told you this, but I had a gay brother and my sister's gay. My older brother struggled and he ended up being, kind of a heroin addict in Arizona. And so you can imagine the life that we had at home. It was very difficult for them. I supported them all the way. But you know what I learned from that is to support people in the workplace that have different points of view and different sexual orientation or whatever. It's like I support them 100%, and I never had any animosity towards that. But where I was going with that is what I learned coming up in the church like that is how to communicate with older people, different people, and being able to get in front of people and being able to talk. And then I did the ultimate sin. You know what that is? I
No?
married a Catholic girl. And so I ended up becoming Catholic, and that was a really good journey for me too. And I really enjoy that journey. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because in heaven there is no religion.
Yes.
In heaven there is only Jesus and the Father.
Yeah.
I mean, like we talk about Catholics, evangelicals. I think last time I checked, it was over 100 denominations in both main Christian pillars.
Yes.
Come on, it's
Yes.
only one God,
That's
and
right.
that's all it matters. If you believe that Jesus died for you, and
Yes.
He rose from the dead, and He's up there with the Father, and because of His sacrifice, you can be forgiving of your sins, then you're a Christian.
Yes.
And being a Christian just means being anointed. Do you know that?
Yeah. You don't have to argue and quibble over every little verse in the Bible and how different religions interpret.
Yeah.
That's and part of that, that's what's wrong with our society today is we can't sit in a room and have a discussion about anything, and it's hard. So you have to kind of avoid all that.
And it comes back to the leadership, right? When I see people that are not abiding by what the Bible says, I pray for them.
Yes.
And I intercede for them. And the power of prayer is amazing. And now that I'm back on my faith, because I was a technology leader for a long time, and like you, I consider myself that I'm already retired too.
Yeah.
It's funny because I run a software computer company, so we have developers, engineers, architects, but I am no longer a leader. I have a CEO. I have leadership teams, like I have directors and VPs and all that. So I just oversee the company and I just set the vision. But I don't have anybody that reports to me per se anymore.
Sure.
So being able to look back and see how big I messed up is very humbling.
Yes.
Because I was trying to grow a great team, but I was very selfish. I was doing it for my own growth, for my own thing, like always thinking about me first.
Yes.
That's not a good servant leader.
I had a person tell me one time, this was at Michigan, and it was a huge learning experience for me. She looked at me and said, Dan, me, I. That's what you say all the time. And it slapped me right in the face and said, you know what? She's right. I'm being selfish. And so right then and there, I stopped using the word me and I in all my communication. And I always say they, my team, this team, never me, I.
Right.
And that really was a turning point for me.
For sure. And I think we all learn, right? The funny part is that when you are really becoming a true servant leader, by serving others, you will be served. So you will actually achieve whatever your goals are, you will actually achieve them. You're a great example of that. Some of your first early in your career bosses showed you kindness and he was willing to give up his office for you. And look at you now, I retired from big corporations as CIO, right? A retired CIO already. So you made it. Right?
Yeah, it was a great journey. I have some regrets. And I look back and I try to look at those in retrospect and just say, I wish I'd have done things differently, but I didn't. So I had to learn from them. And I've had many successes as well. So I try to build on the successes and apologize for my regrets.
And Dan, life is like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to see how life is? Look at any stock on the stock market and see how it behaves, up and down, up and down.
That's the other thing, managing adversity, because nobody can escape adversity. You're going to have downtimes, like during COVID. All right. So I sent my whole team home to work at home. My boss a week later said, Dan, I want them to all come back to work. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Well, let me think about it. I didn't tell her that. I said, I'm going to delay this as long as possible. And then a week later, the place where I live had a flood. We lost 4 lakes. It flooded downtown Midland, totally flooded my office area.
Wow.
So we're working remote. In fact, I'll just give you a little picture. I live on one of the lakes that we lost. And you can see out there, the river, that used to be a lake.
Wow.
Yeah.
It used to be a lake.
It's supposed to come, it happened in 2020. It's supposed to come back in 2026 next year. So we're excited about that. But
what made the lake to be?
It was the Edenville Dam. I don't know if you remember that in Michigan. And it gave way. And luckily my wife and I were here that day. We saved our boats. We live up on a hill, obviously, but those houses across the lake were almost underwater. Wow. And all I could think of is, oh my God, this is terrible. But my house and property is safe. I pulled the boats up with my truck on their belly. But all I could think of is these poor people on the other side of the house that lost everything. I mean, everything. And so the community really came together and forgot all about COVID. No one was wearing masks. Everybody was just going around helping everybody. And it's like they threw the mask out the window. But I lost my offices. So my people I don't like working remote personally, but a lot of my technical staff like it, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. But it was a tough time. I never did work remote. I worked every day after that after COVID in the office.
Mm-hmm. So. You were considered essential workers though, right?
Yep.
So you could actually go back to the office.
Yeah, we were allowed to. I had to get a letter in case I got pulled over.
Right.
That I could show the police officer that, yeah, I'm okay.
Crazy times, eh?
Yeah, but I want to say something about healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about healthcare is, my wife just got home, is it's much easier to be that servant leader in healthcare. And the reason is, and I always got up in front of my team and said, you know what? It's about my mom. It's about your mom. It's about your family. It's about your friends, your relatives. It's about the person that has nobody. When they walk through our doors, we are there to help them improve their health or help them at end of life. And it's so easy to be motivated in that environment because you're helping other people. And that's one of the reasons, my parents always wanted me to be a minister, right? And it's like, that's not for me. I like the idea of, getting in front of people and talking. I'm an extrovert, but I really like the idea of working in healthcare because it was kind of a parallel path that I could make a difference in people's lives that I don't even see, better registration process, better portal, better, instantaneous lab results, one system across all the hospitals. So when they go in any of the doors, their records come up. They don't have to fill out paperwork. It was a fantastic journey.
So you made the life easier of people that are already suffering, right?
Yeah, we started out
with technology.
Yeah, we started out with 4 hospitals, and when I left, we had 12. So I had 50 people when I started. I had 250 when I ended. So it was really a big growth opportunity.
That's beautiful. When was the last time, Dan, that you were given the opportunity to lead other people?
Pardon me?
When was the first time where you were able to lead other people? When did you
Yeah.
become a leader?
So it was when I worked at St. Joe's, and Glenn Iserstat, my mentor, brought me into that patient accounting department, and he gave me what he called all the misfits. He says, I don't know what to do with these people. They don't really have a job that, they don't know what they're doing. They're not being led. I got about 25 people. So I took those people and we sat down in a room and I said, look, let's set up 3 or 4 different goals. Let's improve the registration process. Let's analyze data during registration to make things smoother. And I tell you what, these folks responded and they did well. People that no one else wanted to manage. And it was a tough group at first. But when we got in there and got them working, and then I transitioned them into other individual contributor jobs. Most of them went into other individual contributor jobs and were very successful.
That's amazing. So you had that leadership skill inside of you. I guess you were a God-given leader, right? You were a born leader.
Well, I don't know about that. I just do my best and try to be fair and with people. Treat everyone with respect. That's so important.
I mean, it's common sense, right?
Yeah.
Like you would think it would be obvious to.
Well, Glenn's the first one that told me. He says, Dan, get to know the housekeeper's name. When she comes in and empties waste baskets, it's like, hey, Sally, how you doing? How's your day going? And just those little things with people that don't even work for you, when you treat them with respect, you ended up getting a reputation of being very respectful and good person. And that really helps in your career in ways that you don't even know.
And it's funny because, again, you will actually receive what you give, right?
Yes.
So if you are nice to people, you're kind, you're respectful. If you make them feel like they matter because they matter to God.
But there's one thing about that.
It goes back to you, right? It goes back to you, and you get the blessings too, right?
It's a two-way street though, because I had to learn also to let people go that wouldn't respond, that decided that they were going to do things their way no matter what, or they were going to treat other people with disrespect. I gave them a chance, but I learned early on, you only get so many chances and you got to go because you're going to affect the rest of the team. And so I really encourage all my leaders that you give them a couple chances, but if it doesn't work out, I'm sorry. There's a book called Necessary Endings, and sometimes endings are necessary. Yeah. And so I became pretty staunch in terms of, and a lot of people that I've had to let go would come back to me and say, Dan, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I got this job over here. I really loved it. Thank you very much. I actually got thank yous from some people. So
you know what? Sometimes people don't behave properly because they are not a good fit for the job anyway.
Exactly.
Right? So when you actually are letting them go, you're giving them a favor because they are not willing to do it themselves.
Yes.
Right? For your security or whatever reason. And then once they are set free, they can actually go somewhere else.
Yes.
Right? Especially if they're in technology. Right?
Yes. Exactly. Well, but being retired is an interesting journey. It's the one thing that you never do until you do it. So you don't have experience at retiring. Most people don't. And I kind of decided finally that it's the art of letting go.
I was going to ask you, I'm going to tell you my story of how I retired. And then maybe you can share yours because you're a new retiree, right?
Yes.
So I started studying how to create a self-managed company in 2019. Okay. And it took me until 2023 to implement and finally actually see that the company didn't need me anymore. Finding good leaders, setting up the culture, making sure my clients didn't miss me, right? Because now somebody else will have to take care of them, making sure that there was lead generation and marketing, everything, right? And it was sustainable. 2023, that happened.
Wow.
And I didn't want to let go.
Yeah.
To your point, I did not want to let go. So it's like, God, what do I do? But the Lord was calling me already to these podcasts. He was calling me I have another podcast called Anchoring Hope. It's 100% a Christian channel. It has over 500,000 subscribers already. It's growing exponentially. And I have another business podcast called Break Free. So what I love is to interview amazing people and get their ideas, and so that we can bless other people with their life experiences like you. But I was still trying to manage the company. Okay, so I was invited to a worship service I think it was in October that year. And the preacher, the one that was giving, the sermon, he stopped everything. He went down to where I was sitting, and he looked at my eyes and he said, "The Lord says you are retired." And I was frozen cold. And my wife is like looking at me, like, what's going on? I started meditating and thinking about that. And when I came back from that trip, I realized I needed to let go.
Yes.
And once I actually let go, I finally let go last year. Everything started to be more smooth. The company started to grow more. People were happier. I was happier just doing what I'm doing now, with blessing other people for podcasting.
Yes.
And it's a joy, because for me, retirement was a change of activity. So yeah. I no longer run the day-to-day operations. I was in love with architecture work. I was in love with solving problems. Like, even though I was the CEO of the company, I was always involved in the first stages of every project. Looking at what they needed and drawing it out on a whiteboard and figuring it out where all the pieces of the puzzle went. I didn't need to do that. I was just in love with my craft, right?
Yes.
Or that's gone. I had to set it away, and it wasn't easy.
Yes, I've gone through very similar experiences. When I was at Michigan, I ended up being the executive director of the Epic implementation, the electronic health record implementation. And it really happened in a strange way that I never expected. But doing that, I learned a lot. And when I went to Michigan, I got in there, and they had 9 different systems running. You could have 9 different medical record numbers as one patient. So when I put this all in a little PowerPoint and took it to the board and said, okay, we got to do something different. This is not sustainable. And they decided, hey, we need to go in and do Epic. So I brought a lot of the experiences I had at Michigan and set up the project plan and trained some people on how to do it. And Epic is fantastic at bringing their people in. And we did it. And that was for 4 hospitals. Well, then we ended up doing another one and another one and another one. And so slowly I'm letting go of all of this. And so I don't know how to do an Epic implementation anymore. I mean, I know the major components, but if they asked me to do it, I'd be like, okay, I got to hire some people.
Right. Which is good, right? Because that's the part of being a leader, to delegate, right? Yes. I was able to fully delegate everything that I did for the business, but it took me 5 years to get it done, right?
Wow. That is fantastic. I love that story.
So how are you going through your transition? When was your last day at work?
July 5th was my last day. So what is today? The 14th or 15th?
Well, so your mind's still you're still thinking you're on a vacation then.
Yeah, well, it does feel like vacation for a while, but I will tell you, I'm sleeping so much better.
Right.
I don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and look at my email, and wake my wife up and all those kind of things. So I've been sleeping a lot better. But for me, I'm focused on that thing right there now. The piano over there.
Maybe grand. That's a beautiful piano, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm an intermediate pianist. So I have a goal to be an advanced pianist. That'll take me a couple of years. I practice every day. I have lessons once a week. I'm going to work on my captain's license for fishing. I have a couple boats that I do walleye fishing and bass fishing and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And I like to golf. I actually have a golf outing this weekend that I sponsor with 32 people. And I'll have 14 staying here at this house this weekend. And so I like to golf too. So, and then I have number 8 grandchild coming next month. Weird. So, Patty and I are spending more time with them, and just, so just refocusing my mind from that to this. And it's tough. I mean, there's so many things that I haven't done in the last couple of years, even around the house to get work done, that we're just a little overwhelmed, trying to get this work done.
I bet you're gonna get your Gantt chart and start doing a project plan.
Yeah, I might have to. I might have to.
You know, life is beautiful.
It
You're a
is.
blessed man. 8 grandkids. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know,
Yeah.
Bible says that your grandkids are the crowns, your crowns on earth.
Yeah, they're up here on that wall up there above the piano there.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I enjoy too. Like, especially this year, we've been seeing the grandkids more and more. I only have 2,
Mhm.
but it's a blessing. And just being able to work my schedule around so that my priority is them once in a while, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's been
Right.
great. I mean, just to have a lot of times kids, if they don't know you, they kind of shy away from you. But I would say all my grandkids now, even the youngest ones, will run up to me and give me a hug now when they see me. And it's like, it's so rewarding because, if you don't see them, a little bit on a routine basis, they don't know who you are. And you're
Mhm.
just a scary stranger to them, So I'm very blessed that they know me now and they like to play. We sit on the floor and play games and things like that, so it's fun.
That's amazing. Tell me, Dan, when you were growing up as a leader, when was the first time that you said, I wish I could become a CIO one in my lifetime? Like,
Yeah, I remember distinctly of sitting in the St. Joe's Hospital and the director came in a room and did a speech in front of everyone and to talk about what we're doing, where we're going and all this. And I'm like, I can do that. I want to do that. In fact, I'm going to do that. And so I kind of charted out my career and I made this timeline of just kind of where I wanted to be and how I wanted to do it. And I tell you what, there were times where I thought it would never happen, honestly. And it could have not happened very easily. But I would say, 1987 for
Mhm.
me.
Wow, so it's a long time ago.
Yeah. And I
How long
was,
did it
I
take you to get there?
too. I was 55 before I became a CIO at a large place. I mean, I was a CIO at Chelsea. Okay. And it's a great little community hospital, 63 beds. But then moving to my Michigan, now I'm in a 12 hospital system, with major geographic challenges and, big systems. So, yeah. So, let's see, I was probably 25, so 30 years. And I tell some of my directors that are in their 30s and 40s, I didn't become a CIO because they really want to do this too. I'm like, you have to be patient and you have to, grow and learn and look for opportunities, to be a leader in the organization and get known and recognized, to be the servant leader, and it will work for you.
It's fascinating, right? And so another thing that it's impressive is, now you're retired, but even retirement, you need to work for it. You need to set a plan. Otherwise, you will never be able to do it. How did you manage that? Did you know when you wanted to stop working, and how do you arrange your finances to make it happen?
Well, my college roommate hooked me up with a banking planner, financial planner, which really helped a couple years ago. So we started going through all that and determined that I could have probably retired 2 or 3 years ago. In fact, I actually retired 3 times before I actually retired.
Oh, really?
Each time I retired, there was another hospital coming on, and I decided, I'm going to stay just through one more hospital.
Right.
I did that 3 times. The last one was an Ascension hospital with 3 hospitals and about 40 clinics. And we actually implemented Epic in 6 months.
Wow.
And so it was a major challenge. And I finally just said, I talked to my boss and he said, Dan, you can't buy time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a time to retire. You can't buy time. You have to really think about that. And he says, I'd be glad if you stayed, but you just think about it. I did. I thought about it and says, he's right. I can't buy time. Once you get into your mid 60s, you only have 15, 20 years where you can actually probably travel and get around. And then you're going to have to kind of calm down a little bit. Right. And,
yeah.
So,
if the Lord doesn't take you before then, because we never know how long
right,
we're going
you never know. And
right?
that's right. You never know. Yeah.
Well, good for you. That it's incredible. What a fascinating story.
Thank
What
you.
has been the time in your career where you had the most trouble, and how were you able to overcome that?
I would say I got in a rut when I worked at Chelsea a little bit. I was there 9 years, and the physicians would come to me, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I would try to make plans, and the organization says, we don't have any money for that, and so we just did the best with what we had, but we didn't really grow any clinical systems or anything like that. And it was really a difficult time. Finally I just found another job, to be honest with you. I just said, I gotta find another job and move on. And that's what I did. So trying to put on a pretty face every day when you go into work and, do the best you can.
That's another great advice for the people that are listening. This channel is for not only for other CIOs that, because I get a lot of people that are actually CIOs learning from experiences from other peers, but also for people that are aspiring to be leaders in technology.
Yes.
This is a great advice. If you know that your career is done where you are and there is nothing else you can provide or they can provide to you, it's time to move on. The market is huge.
It is. It is. And I really respect people that stay through their whole career at one place. That's fantastic. And if that's for you, and I always told my employees, look, they'd come to me and say, hey, Dan, I found another job. I'm going to make more money. You got to work from home, and I'm going to, don't apologize. I'm happy for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that you got this experience at this organization that allowed you to do this.
Right.
I said, look, I switched jobs. I switched jobs 4 times or 5 times. Right. It's not a problem. Congratulations. I'll write you a letter of recommendation if you want, So I never got angry at anyone that left. I just said, and usually the response is, wow, I can't believe you're telling me this. I believe it.
But it's true, right? We're not the owners of the employees. I mean, and
no,
everybody has a life to live. I remember we hired a couple of kids. Well, they weren't kids; they were like senior developers here in Canada, but they immigrated from Cuba, and they were their first job in North America. They were amazing, and they were with us for 3-4 years. But when I did the job interview, I told them, I know you're going to be here for a little bit and then you're going to move on. And they're, no, I'm going to work here forever. No, you won't, because I want you to succeed in life. And my company has only so much that it can offer you. So the first kid left last year and the second kid is leaving this year. I call them kids, but they are grown adults, right? And they are so happy. And we're throwing them, because it's summer here, we're doing them a barbecue and we're going to set up the fire on the fire pit, and we're going to have a nice time saying goodbye and good luck and thank you for all the work that you have done for us, right?
I guess that also speaks, going back to strategy, is you've got to continue bringing in young talent and developing them, because there are other talents going to leave, and you need someone to be able to fill the shoes of that person. And so I think that's important too, is continue to bring in, interns and things like that to try to develop them. I wanted to do more. We only had so much budget that we could do, but we did the best we could. And Michigan was really good at it. They did that. They had budget for that for a lot. And, and just looking for talent when you hire, it's not always the exact match that you find. Sometimes it's just, wow, this person has a personality, has a little bit of skill. I think they're going to be really successful in this job. And just giving someone a chance that you think can do it, looking for those strong traits, relationship traits, and things like that.
You're right. Actually, we always prioritize attitude versus technical skills, because you can always be taught the technical part, but the attitude is hard to teach.
Yeah, I think where that kind of, the only place where that you really have to be careful is in the infrastructure and cybersecurity side. You really do need technical skills in that area. Right. So sometimes you have to really bring in, someone that maybe can't even talk that well, and kind of just look at it and say, hey, this person's really smart. I need them on my team.
Right.
And so there are times where that you can challenge that. But if you got customer relationship people, business analysts, managers, directors, that some of that can be taught for sure.
That's wonderful. Dan, thank you so much for your wisdom. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you one last question before we finish the podcast. If you had access to a billboard in front of the busiest highway on earth, what would you write on it?
I would say play as a team, win the game.
Play as a team, win the game. That's true. And it's the only way to succeed, actually, right? When you work as a team. Dan, thank you so much. God bless you. I wish you the very best on your retirement and have fun until the Lord takes you.
Thank you very much. And with you too. And thank you for doing these podcasts. I've watched quite a few of them now that I found out about you, and they were really good. Every person you had on, I learned something from. So thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dan. Have a beautiful rest of the day.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leaders in Tech podcast. Check in next week to keep learning how to use technology and leadership to change the game. See you next time.